Hello and welcome to Grade Expectations. I'm your host Grade, and today I wanted to go through some comics that I'm specking on and ones that I've been disappointed in. So the first comic I wanted to talk to you about today is Wal Mart pack favorite, Amazing Spider-Man 55. This is the 1 in 50 second print. And this is a comic that I purchased graded when it came out, and I have, as you can see behind me, I have the first print version Gleason one, and it's signed, and then I picked up the third, or the second print 1 in 50. I paid about $200 for it at the time, and I thought it was a little bit of an overpay, but at the time there were very few on the census, and I really liked the cover, and I wish I bought one raw. I could have bought one for about 75 bucks raw. And anyway, I picked up a graded one thinking that this is going to be an iconic cover for many years to come. And I do think it's an iconic cover. I love this cover, and I think scarcity over time, you're not going to see that many of these. And I've had both the black and the white versions on my wall, and honestly, I like looking at this one the best. So when this had been out for a couple months, really the CGC census was very low, and I thought it was a great cover, and it's a 1 in 50 on a second print, and I was really looking into this comic and thinking, you know what, I should go hard on this comic. I should buy like 10 graded copies and sit on them because they're going to be worth a lot of money. And honestly, I am super glad I didn't because these showed up in the Wal Mart pack. And this is the first time I'm talking about the Wal Mart pack. I get that in America it's been out for like a month. Up here in Canada, it's only been out for, say, 2 weeks. And so, it's a good and bad thing, because when I hear it's in America, I know that the packs will be coming here. It just takes longer. So I know to be looking for it. But at the same time, lots of other people know to be looking for them as well. And especially on this latest Diamond Reject run, there's a lot of good stuff in them. So when these finally arrived, obviously I was checking out our local Walmart, and I ended up buying 12 packs, and I definitely was looking for this comic. And as you can see, I got this one, which I'm going to be grading, and then I have 3 more that, I could press and clean and hope, but really just because there are so many of them now, I just want to grade the one. But I do still think that this is a good comic, and when you're picking it up for like $30 right now, that could be a very good deal in time. Because again, this is just a nuts cover, an excellent sketch, and I think it's going to be iconic over time. But am I going to pay for a 1 in 50 in the future? Like, imagine if Spider-Woman 9, the Rose Besh 1 in 25 was in this pack. Or, like any of the other hot covers that have come out in the last year. And people found, 1 in 500 copies, 1 in 1,000 copies in these Walmart packs. And it's just disappointing to see. So I definitely will not be paying for a ratio variant. Like, again, I will never do it. If I really, really want something, or I believe in something, I'll probably buy 25 copies of the comic and just get the 1 in 25 or whatever it is. But I just cannot, trust these variants and the scarcity, because, if I got, so I would suggest I was probably the second person to look at our Walmart stock. I know that because all the Black Cat versions were missing, which I'm looking for, a Black Cat Annual 1. And anyway, out of, say, a pack of 25, I bought 12 of them, I did look for the, like the white cover, and, I was able to pull 4. So if every Walmart has 4 and there's 5,000 Walmarts, there's an extra, what is that, 20,000 copies of this. So instead of there only being, like, say, 3,000 copies, now there's 23,000, which is still low, but it's just too many. And anyway, I'm glad I did get some, and I'll be holding on to them because I do think it's a long-term hold. Next comic I wanted to talk to you today is Contest of Champions, #1. And so this is the first appearance of White Fox in comics. And I remember back when Taskmaster 3 came out, and White Fox was prominent in it. And, she's New Agents of Atlas, kind of a possible big deal, and Marvel has been featuring her. So anyway, I went and picked up one copy a few months ago of Contest of Champions #1. There weren't that many at the time. I've been hearing a lot of buzz on the internet about this comic in the last week, and certainly I think people are starting to believe in New Agents of Atlas and like books like this, Contest of Champions #1. I think this is good spec. I have been looking, like on eBay. In Canada, there are no copies available. In the States, the shipping is a little too much for me to make it worth my while to go buy them, but I will be looking at my LCSs for copies of this book, and I think it is a pretty good hold. Good potential. Like, it's just basic spec, but it is a character that is still being featured prominently by Marvel. Print run is about 80,000 on this comic, and CGC Census has, like, say 25 copies of this book. So definitely, a book that's just sitting in bins, and I think it's good spec. Next book is a comic that I still believe in. I think it's still really early with this comic. So it's Avengers Initiative featuring Reptil, and it's the first appearance of Reptil. His power is he can transform into different dinosaurs, which I think is just like a very cool, like kind of obvious kid ability. And, I think this comic has legs. So we've seen the limited series. I think it was like a limited run of 4 different comics. I have been buying these out. I would suggest that there really aren't that many. And I know that because I get like the little notification when someone posts one. So the ones that I've seen on the internet are more or less, like very fine copies, and a lot of these got beat up. So to find like gradable copies, I have the 5 behind me, and this one as well that I think are, CGC worthy, so I'll be getting them graded. The other copies that I bought, I've noticed that they're not near mint or near mint minus. They're very fine, and that's not good enough. So I've been just, like flipping them, reselling them on eBay, and having pretty good success. But I feel like they have dried up now, and if you can still find near mint copies of this comic, it is a low print run, so I think it's 23,000 copies, and it's just the kind of character that you could see in a Disney Plus show, or I see as like an animated or a Disney Plus show, and who knows where this character is going to be in 10 years. But right now, we can say that this comic is still pretty cheap, say $30, $40. And to me, it's a good long-term spec. I've also been trying to figure out if there is a newsstand version of this. I've never seen one, so I'm just looking at the little barcode here. Comics around, say 2005 to 2011. There are newsstand versions, and generally you can tell because the barcode is just a little tiny mini one. So I've been looking on the internet. I haven't seen one that was newsstand, and I'm still looking. Just I'll give you an update if I ever find one. But, you know, it's always something to be looking for, you know, like these key comics, but then the newsstand version. Because the newsstand in the later years, 2005 to 2011, a lot of people don't recognize when it's newsstand, unless you're a pro, which I'm trying to become. Next, we have Howard the Duck #1. So this is a comic that I have been buying. I don't have that many copies. I think I have, you know, say 3 or 4 copies. I have two that I'm going to get graded. And this is a great spec to me. It's super cheap, say $25 to buy. And this is the first full appearance of Gwenpool. Her iconic cover in the swimming pool is her first cover appearance, and that's Deadpool Secret Wars #2, I believe. And it's just a variant cover. But this is the first full appearance, and print run's about 60,000. Not a lot of buzz. I don't think I've seen like the internet hype machine on this comic, but it definitely is the first appearance of a character that people cosplay on the regular. It is you know, a Deadpool character, and obviously there are going to be more Deadpool movies. Ryan Reynolds, I think, has signed up for 5 or 6 more movies, and you never know. So I think this is a great spec. Like, obviously the cover's not perfect, but it's still the first appearance. There is a variant cover, I think it's the 1 in 25, where Gwenpool is featured on the cover. I've been looking everywhere for that comic. It's like $1,000, or it's, you know, $800, and obviously I'm not like a huge super fan, so I can't justify that price, but I'm looking for it, and I think you should be too. Final book I wanted to talk about that I'm buying is a weird one, but I've been hearing really good things, and so I do have a couple copies. So this is The Many Deaths of Laila Starr, #1. You have the, where are we, A cover, and then we have a foil cover for the first print. And this is a comic from Boom Studios. I haven't heard a lot of hype on it. I don't know what the print run is on it because it came out in March. But it is a comic you can still possibly find at your local comic store. I have only heard really good things about this on the internet, saying, you know, it's just a great read, and you know, like when you're still paying cover price or near cover price for a copy of this book, that's good spec to me. So am I looking for this? Like, I'm aware of this book, and if I saw it for cover price, I would probably pick up a copy, just in case. It seemed like a neat idea. I should mention, like, I don't actually read the comic books. I'm a collector, and I have a collector mindset. So, you know, when people say, "Oh, it's just a great read," I respect that, but I'm more interested in if the character has legs, and you know, if this is going to be a sought-after book in 20 years. And so, anyway, I just wanted to bring this to people's attention. I do think it's good spec, you know, while it's still cheap. Last thing, selling. So I haven't done that much selling, I would say, in the last month. The one thing that I have sold is I've sold my Edge of Spider-Verse 2, first print in a 9.6, first appearance of Spider-Gwen, and my Edge of Spider-Verse 2, 9.8, first appearance of Spider-Gwen. And why did I do that? So first of all, it's a comic that's really dropped a lot in value, and you know, like, you are supposed to buy on the dip, not sell on the dip. But I don't think I was aware enough about this comic when I purchased both copies. So I did sell at a loss on both of them. I would suggest the loss wasn't great. I got good value buying them, and thought I got deals on the 9.8 and the 9.6. But after looking at this comic a little bit more, So, like, I bought the 9.6 originally. I have a raw copy still, but I bought the 9.6, and then as soon as I bought the 9.6, a 9.8 came up, and it was like $400 underpriced at the time. This is back in, say, June. So I bought that one as well, with the idea that I would sell the 9.6. Well, I spent the last month trying to sell on Facebook Marketplace, trying to sell on Kijiji, trying to sell on eBay. No bites. Nobody would buy the 9.6 of Edge of Spider-Verse 2. And why is that? Well, what I didn't realize, or what I really should have checked before I bought blindly, is the CGC census. There are a heck of a lot of copies of this book that are graded now. So there are over 3,000 9.8s that are graded with CGC, and there are over 3,000 9.6s graded with CGC. And that is a lot for, like a modern book to me. And I know there are tons more sitting, waiting to be graded. I have one that I'm going to send in and, get graded as well. And while I do believe in the character, Spider-Gwen, I don't think Spider-Gwen is on the same level as Miles Morales. And I think that there are just too many of this comic that everyone just held them when the comic came out, and as a result, it's not that scarce, and like the value, given how many copies there are, I don't think there are 6,000 Spider-Gwen superfans that are willing to pay, like say $1,500 US for a 9.8, or like $800 US for a 9.6. And I do realize that the second Spider-Verse movie is coming out next year, and I could look back on this and say, well, I could have held for another year, and then the movie's amazing and features Spider-Gwen, and then there's hype again and people pay. But I don't think the risk versus reward is worth it there. The comic is still going down, and to be honest, I sold both, I think, at like high values compared to what the recent sales on eBay have been for both of them. And, like there's just a lot of risk. You got to hold it for a year. That's a lot of money tied up in two comics where there are a lot of copies being graded and a lot of copies already graded. And then say Spider-Verse 2 comes out and Spider-Woman is featured, or Silk is featured, or it just sucks. I think that is too much risk for this comic at this time, and the value is probably overinflated. And I've seen sales of raw comics going for like $300 for good condition ones right now. So I think we're kind of like in a dip, or possibly it's still deciding what the bottom is, and that's why I've sold that comic. So will I pick one up in the future? I think I'll just buy them raw if I see them, and I will say I really liked the look of the comic on my wall, and I think it just stood out and is a cool cover. So I do have one. And when I get it graded, if it's like a 9.4 or 9.6 or a 9.8, if Mr. Kendra does his magic, then that's good. So, comic prices right now are all over the map. We're seeing some books that just hit highs, drop. We're seeing some other books where you don't think there's demand, and there's just still lots of bidders, and very high sale prices. One book I almost bought this week was an X-Men 94, and I was within $100 of the final bid price. I regret not buying it. It went super cheap, like cheapest that I've seen one go. It was an 8.0. Since March. But I do think like some of the X-Men comics are just like really low right now. Possibly for a long time. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with the comic market. We don't even know what's happening with the economy right now. So I would be very careful buying, like the bigger books. They could definitely still go down. And I don't see a lot of risk. I think that if you bought a comic book now, say an X-Men 94, and a year from now it's the same price, you really should have expected that, because I don't think we're going to have like a second, like a giant rebound on some of these books. So I would just use caution while you're searching out your keys. I definitely have my eyes on books that I'm targeting, and the bigger books now, because I think a lot of them have gone down, and the ones that haven't, well, they're just kind of, I missed the boat until they drop, or I've decided that the bottom has changed and they are for sure worth what they're worth. So thank you for watching my video. That's been Grade Expectations. I'm Grade, and keep up your comic hunting. Have a good night.